Good morning and welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Niraj Shah, and it's for remember it's expiry week, so you don't quite know what fun and games could happen over the next 2 days. But largely, the setup doesn't seem to be too bullish. I'm not bearish right now, but certainly doesn't seem to be too bullish, and the reasons are plenty, right? We've seen everybody knows what the U.S. markets did overnight, but look at what Asia is doing this morning. I think the U.S.-China tensions are weighing in on what the Asian screen is looking like in the session today, and that should tell you a story that it's yes, our markets are underperforming in a massive fashion, but it's not that the US market's performance overnight is necessarily an indication of the Asian screen doing as well during the course of the day. Frankly, the SGX Nifty 2 continues to have weakness. So, I mean, we might be marginally up. 15 minutes ago, we were marginally up. Currently, we are about flattish. So, the SGX Nifty 2 giving you signs of how the markets seem a bit sluggish and not poised for any large up moves. This is a big Q, right? A quarter of 4% right now, but could well cool off as well because 15 minutes ago was down about 0.19% as well. So you don't quite know what will happen. Just the fact that we won't have a big bang start the way the US markets ended. By the way, the US futures too have slipped after the up move yesterday. They have come off in the session today as well. And I think the US-China tensions continue to wane on the sentiment around the markets. Yes, markets and economies are reopening, but the sentiment isn't the most optimistic, and which is why I think, to my mind, when we look at the trade setup for India today or over the near term, I think the larger trend remains a sell on a rally. Even if it's not a sell currently, the larger trend remains a sell on any kind of a rally. I think the only exception to this rule are themes which are driven by the economy opening up. Now, as much as, and I'll come to Titan and a few others in a bit, but I think everything related to economy opening up might actually be having a counter rally compared to what you or I may think. Sector rotation is firmly in place. I spoke about this yesterday that telecom is likely to participate on the downside, and I think that's doing it now. Reliance is off from 1600 all the way to 1420. People may think it's value buy, but yesterday it came off a bit. Despite news being positive, today the news are also positive. Let's wait and watch what happens. Bharti Airtel is correcting as well, and NBFCs are looking very, very weak. Yesterday, and a day when some of the commodities and some of the other sectors moved up, look at NBFCs, Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, Piramal, etc. All the large NBFCs really came off. So that pocket continues to look weak. The only one which is looking very different, and again, a part of a commodity pack, but just that the commentary and the results are looking very solid, is mid-cap cement. Look at that entire bucket of stocks, and mid-cap cement put in a show which is very, very fine. It looks like it's going to consolidate and move higher. The likes of Birla, Orient, India Cement, Ramco, entire set of stocks did very, very well. And which is why I think, as futile as it is to try and second guess what the markets would do, and probably remains a sell on a rally, individual stocks might have more merit. So here's what I think stands out today. Titan, the stock was up and about in trade yesterday, but I think the COVID-19 update and the impact is very is disconcerting. Let me put it that way. They mention a very long update. I've chosen the three lines that mattered the most to me. They've said that the operations hit substantially from March 17 all the way till first week of May. That's a very large period. Akshaya Tritiya falls in this period, and they mentioned that Akshaya Tritiya sales were completely wiped off. They're saying that they are not in a position to gauge future impact on operations. It's very candid of a management to say that. But while we've heard a number of managements or market pundits saying that things will return to normalcy, companies are not saying that. That tells you a story. And they mention the most important telling line for me, not just for Titan, but for all consumer sentiment stocks at large. They're saying that the sentiment, the customer sentiment, is pointing towards a reduced discretionary spending scenario, which is a big statement, I think. Morgan Stanley staying underweight. It is a company that gets impacted by the economy opening up, and therefore I don't know if it's wise to bet against it. But certainly, this COVID-19 update looks slightly disconcerting and weak from Titan's perspective. Kotak Bank, QIP's open. It opened yesterday at a floor price of 1,147.75 rupees per share. The management has said that they will not sell shares at a more than 5% discount. That could weigh in today. Let's wait and watch. If the market takes this well, that the supply is out of the way, and therefore let's go out and lap up Kotak Bank because it's a quality bank? Or would the market believe that why is it that Kotak raising money at such a low valuation? Are they worried about what could happen in the future with regards to capital? A Credit Suisse note today speaks about capital issues for private banks and banks at large. So interesting mix. Can't quite figure out what Kotak could do. Maybe the market will believe that supply is out of the way, and therefore that should be positive. Reliance and the big news. Remember, the FM had mentioned that Indian companies without listing abroad, India and list abroad. This is a new rule, I think. Um, and I think the FM mentioned in that stimulus measures. But Reliance Industries, Bloomberg learns, is preparing geo platforms for an IPO outside India. We all know the valuations that some of the holding companies or technology names are getting in India. Abroad, the valuations are different. Could that be a reason? This is a very long drawn process, 12 months to 24 months if it happens. So too early to talk. But hey, it's an important development, the first of its kind, and therefore important to mention. I don't know if Reliance reacts to this. Let's wait and watch. Two very strong numbers in the mid cap side, which I thought should be brought up. Coromandel International, firstly, revenues at 2,869 crores versus estimates of 2,779 crores. So better than estimates. Net profit much higher than estimates, 234 crores versus estimates of 167 crores. And the EBITDA performance as well, 390 crores versus estimates of 317. So did very well, Coromandel. Let's wait and watch if the stock reacts. As Deepak Nitrite, the mid-cap specialty chemical name, revenues at 1,055 crores versus estimates of 1,057. So on that, it just about met estimates. But the PAT number, 172 crores versus estimates of 140, and the margin numbers very better, very much on the higher side, 24.8% delivery versus estimates of 19.2%. So delivered on the margins front, balance sheet delivered a little bit as well, capex plan scaled down. I think all of this should point well. Let's see if the stock has any positive reaction in the session. Lastly, while we're talking about all the positive news and three or four positive news, except for Titan, of course, there are some weaker hands as well in terms of results. So watch out for VIP. The numbers were weak. I think the lockdown and the travel ban has impacted the financials. Gross margins improved, but aggressive discounts to boost sales. Maybe VIP reacts. Maybe SH Kelkar reacts. That's the other one which came out with weak numbers. Margins improved, but higher tax and higher base impacted profits. And Max Financials was a horrible number, really. Weak results because AP dropped due to COVID. VNB margins were stable, but the 13-month and the 61st month persistency dipped as well. So Max Financial is a bit of an outlier compared to the other insurance companies which actually delivered good numbers. So maybe these numbers could react negatively. So Titan and the last three that I mentioned on the negative side, but be careful. Titan is a stock which gets benefited positively because of the economy opening up. And of course, Reliance, Kotak, as well as the two result boys, Coromandel and Deepak Nitrite, could be the ones that could react positively. Let's wait and watch. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup.